Hello, you guys. So, Zach and I are sitting here talking about pesticides. And so today is day 301. I have 64 days left on my 1 year juice feast. I'm so excited. And I got to tell you, when we drove to LA, it was a long super drive, like, I don't know, 7 hours or so, right?
Yeah.
And Zach and Rob were in the front seat, and I was in the back seat. We were just chilling out, listening to music, and I was kind of zoning out, looking at the farmland and stuff. And then, sure enough, I see it. I see the big little buggy carrying the, I don't know how many hundreds of gallons this tank was. It was massive.
Big vat of pesticides.
It was totally pesticides, and the guy was spraying it through the field with this humongous fan, and here's what it looks like. So then we started talking about pesticides and how, whatever soil, whatever water, whatever pesticides you use on your garden, you're actually eating that. That's why it's so very important to try to have local organic produce with no pesticides. And Zach and I, for every Saturday night is movie pizza night for us in our family. And we watched last Saturday. What was that movie called?
It was called Food Beware, the
Beware.
the French Organic Revolution.
It was
And
awesome.
it's this little community in France that the mayor decided, we're not going to feed our school children, processed, pesticide enriched, flavor enriched foods anymore. So
Yeah.
all their foods went to organic foods, and they still had meat and stuff, but it was all organically grown, no artificial chemicals. And it was a really great documentary to show how organic farming and organic living can still be sustainable living. People argue that, if you take away the pesticides, we won't be able to feed everybody on the planet. Well, there's been studies that have shown that if you do switch everything over to organic, you can still make enough food to sustain the Earth's population. The movie was really great in pointing out that in Europe, 70% of cancers are linked to the environment. So that's the food we eat, that's the air around us, the water we drink, the chemicals that we come in contact with, everything but genetics. And then...
Yeah, the other 30% was genetics, right? 70% environmental.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and then, another study was 30% of cancers show a direct link to the food you eat. So that means every time you eat something, it is either going to be for or against cancer. So it was just a really great documentary to show the impact that food has and the importance of getting away from pesticides.
And so when we started doing research, we found that 140 million gallons, you guys, 140 million gallons.
Million tons.
Million tons.
Million tons.
Of pesticides are used on our crops that we eat yearly. That's scary. And also in that documentary, it talked about how 90% of the water is contaminated by pesticides, by runoff, and stuff like that. And you guys, it's senseless, really, when you can make your own natural pesticides. A recipe that you can use is rosemary, clover, thyme, and especially use heavier rosemary. So we make tea just like the hair tonic tea, except for we add thyme and clovers, and we put it in the refrigerator and put it in a spray bottle and spray your plants with bugs in it, because rosemary's a natural pesticide, and see what happens. And if it doesn't work, you make it stronger. Just kind of play around with it. It's you can eat that, and the FDA doesn't have to approve rosemary to be used for on your food and stuff. So just see what happens. I mean, do some research on natural pesticides. Don't just believe me or what we use. What might work in our region might not necessarily work in your region. But it's just all the statistics that we saw about the pesticide and the cancer ratings, and You know, it's just bad news.
It's off the charts, and
off the charts.
And you know, if you look at people how people lived a long time ago, they didn't use pesticides, and they, ate just fine. They were able to feed themselves. And
well, look at how unhealthy everybody is now.
Absolutely, it's scary how much, we ingest is directly affecting our health, and what's worse is that people don't make the link between what goes in is what you get.
Right.
The bodies are an engine, and if you put water in your engine, which is pesticides and processed foods, your car's not going to run. So.
Well, and didn't another report that we saw said something about the link of male prostate cancer and breast cancer, also?
Oh, absolutely. That if you, in other places that don't have as much chemical influence in their foods, Asia, that male prostate cancer and female breast cancer is almost non-existent, and a large part of that is not eating meat. It's just strictly staying away from the meat items, but the pesticides are a large part of that too.
So you guys, if you have Lyme disease, if you have any kind of disease, or if you just want to be a healthier person, the first step you can take, really the most important step to take, is to eat better. And like Zachary said, whatever goes in your mouth, it's a choice. And so you want to make the best choices you can to be healthier. And pesticides, they're not going to make you healthier, that's for sure. So.
Yep.
So some simple things that you can do to make sure you're not eating pesticide is, of course, buy local organic produce. Use a Lotus machine.
Yep.
Even though that's only going to take off the exterior amount of pesticides, if it's grown with pesticides, it's in the produce.
Right. But it's better than not running it through and just rinsing it off with some water, that the pesticides stay on there.
Right. And if you don't have a Lotus machine, like when you're at school,
right,
you just fill up your bucket or your sink with a cap or two of hydrogen peroxide, let your produce soak a little bit, and take it out, and then that'll help get rid of some of the pesticides and cooties on your produce too. Okay, you guys?
And of course, grow your own stuff if you have that option, because then what's going into your food. You're the only one that's controlling that. So that's also a good option.
Yeah. And make sure you have a filter on your water, because lots of water's contaminated. We could be bummed out and say, oh, I don't have enough room to have a garden, and not even try. But we're starting off slow. We're putting them in our barrels. I guarantee you we'll probably have no river rock by next year, because I'll have yanked it all up and planted garden there, I'm sure. We'll see. But okay, you guys, so don't eat pesticides and get healthy.
Yeah, just make good choices, and you don't have to go all the way at first, but just start improving your decisions. And I guarantee you'll see a improvement. It's inevitable.
Yeah, and just being aware of all of the dangers. I mean, if you guys just took, an hour out of your time and just watched that movie, A Food Beware.
The French Organic Revolution.
Yep.
On Netflix, Instant Watch.
Yep.
Or you can, I'm sure, find it elsewhere online.
Yeah, and just check it out and be your own judge. But just know that you have a choice, but know what you're choosing. Okay? All right, you guys. The best of health to you.
Yep, we'll see
you later.